Okay, so that is out. This car has been parked since last 5 years, so everything is too rusted. Hopefully your guys' cars are not that rusted. But yeah, this is my first car, and the engine blew up on it, so I kept it. Then I'm gonna replace it one day, but I've been so busy since last couple of years. So let's take that 10mm out now. We're gonna put the bolt back. There we go. So for the exhaust manifold, it has a shield. I don't have it. So you just need to take the O2 sensor out with the O2 sensor tool. I'm not taking it out because my bolts are accessible, but if your bolts are not accessible, you're gonna have to take the shield out. You're gonna have to take this out before, then the shield out, then you can see those bolts. So there's 4 of them, 1, 2, and 1 on the other side. We're gonna open them. Might not really need the extension. One. 2. We need extension for this one. That one came out with the stud. I actually prefer them coming out with the stud. That way, when you're lifting the engine, you don't have to like really slide it back. Still, you can slide it back and it comes out, but sometimes it catches it onto it. Not a big deal though. And the 4th one is behind there. See if I can access that from here. Might have to go to the other side. Oh boy. So our exhaust should be off now. We're gonna take these exhaust bolts. We're gonna put it in the next chamber. We're gonna move the exhaust manifold back. Shoot the slide back. There you go. Now we're just gonna get the engine mounts loose. We're not opening it. We're just gonna loosen it up. 17. Yep. Shine light. This, all this stuff out of the way. Easy peasy. It's the front engine mount cover. There we go. It's the bracket right here. We are gonna put this back. Then we're gonna leave that right over there. We're just gonna get them loose, just a tiny bit. Good. That one's loose. Just gonna make sure they're loose. That's all we're doing. Okay, that is good. Gonna come over here. We're gonna loosen these two. Ooh, this is a tight one. Yeah, it's time for a breaker bar. There you go. There you go. All right. How does the rear mounts look? Okay. Now we are gonna take these counter pins out. This counter pin out. We're gonna open these 1, 2, 3 10mm bolts for the linkage. Oh man. Actually, I lied. They're 12mm. Alright. That one. Take these 3 out. Smaller one. Same size. Okay, good. They're all the same size. Put these ones here. Okay. So now we have these free. We can get these out. That can stay here. Go. So we now have these free as well. I don't know where these are coming from. We're gonna leave them there. Okay, now we have to do with this clutch. And I think it's just held by these two. And I'm gonna open that. Alrighty. Good Lord. Alright. We can put these back right here. That's for the clutch cable. How's that gonna happen? Oh, that's sitting there. Okay, that's good. We're gonna open, I don't know if that's a 12, I think that's a 10. Nope, that's a 12. Ooh. We're gonna leave that one right there as well. Oh, there's one more. Oh, that's why they took it off. Let's see if we can open it with the 12mm ratcheting wrench. Hopefully we can get it open. Oh yeah. Because if you guys can't reach this, you're gonna have to take this sensor off. There's a 10mm, and then you can get to that bolt. We're gonna leave these back here, which can sit here. The other one can go right here. Alright. So now let's go under and see what's up over there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but you have to open this. It looks like a 14mm. So it comes off the engine. And look at that wiring. That can stay here. We can just open that one big bolt somehow. Axle. Hopefully it comes apart. We'll find out. Yeah, things are looking good. We just have to deal with that sensor wire. Okay, so in order to take the engine out, last thing we have to take off is the axles. So you take the tire out. I did that off camera, but I'll show you guys what to do. So you take the tire out, you take the fender liner out, and then you take the tie rod end out. Once you take that out, it should be free to like move right and left. And then I went and opened this thing right here. Whoop. So that bolt goes right over there on top. So you take that off and the whole thing will just comes out. Then but before you do any of that, make sure you open the axle nut right over here. What size? That's what it looks like. It is, what size is this? 1 3/8. Also, this one fits. Which one is that one? 36. Number 36 fits as well. So you take the axle nut off, you take that one out, and then it just becomes free. And then you can hammer this in here, and then that will push the axle back. So the axle will go back, but there's a stand, like the support that goes right here. So you open a bolt, I think it goes the other way, yes. But this has 2 bolts, one over here to like keep it tight, and then this one on the bottom goes over here. And there's a long bolt, if I could find it right now. There you go. So this is that bolt that holds that. So once you take those 2 off, you can just literally wiggle it. It comes off. That gives you room to move the axle shaft around. And then mine was pretty stuck in there at the back. Let me zoom if you guys can see it. So over that part where it goes in the transmission, it was stuck. So for that, you're gonna have to go under the car, and I used this clamp, claw, whatever it's called. I think it's to remove the ball joints and stuff, like when these things are not coming apart. So let's say this goes right in here. So when you open the bolt from the bottom, sometimes this is like, actually all the time, it's pretty stuck. So people use this to wedge it in here and just, you know, hammer it down. See that shape? So it pulls it out. But I only use it if I'm not reusing the boots, the joints and stuff. I bought a tool that looks like this. That just gets stuck on the side. Let's say this is the joint, so you put that over here, and then this goes on the bottom of the nut, and then you just tighten it from the bottom. That pushes it up. So let's say, for instance, this is it. So that claw would go right here, and you'll push the bolt from the bottom, and that'll just bring it up. Yeah, so just use that claw thing to take the axle apart so it's out. So there's a little groove where it sits. There you go. So this is where it gets locked. So there's no pin, no nothing. I tried to use a pry bar, but that didn't do the job. But that worked pretty good. You just, cause it's like literally straight, you just put it and just hammer it down, and it'll just. So that's what I did. There was barely any room, but when you put it, it goes in, and then you just move it, it comes out. So that's for the driver's side. And then you open these two transmission mounts. You can either open them from the bottom, which will be right here, but I'm just gonna open these two bolts right there, and then my transmission will be free. Now I'm gonna go to the other side. I'll try to record that side so you guys can see it. I took the tire off, but I didn't take anything else off. So what we're gonna do is, first we're gonna break this nut loose. I used an air impact ratchet. So yeah, you take that off, and then I'll take the tire end out. Make sure there's a pin. You take the pin out, and then you open the nut, and you put that claw thing, and you push that bolt up. That'll come off. You put that aside, and then make sure you hammer this down, but don't just hammer it on the thing. Make sure you have a nut, and then use that socket, and then hit the socket so you don't damage the threads. And then once that's loose, you're gonna come on top. You can either take that ball joint, but I don't want to mess around with the ball joint because I'm pretty positive I'll just have to replace it after. So I'm not gonna touch that, but I can. So I open this on the other side, and I'll do the same on this side. So you open this bolt, there's a pin, you take that out, and then this whole assembly will be like just hanging. And then you're gonna go inside. I already broke that loose, that axle. You just have to again pry it back. This wasn't stuck, so I'm pretty positive once I take everything off, I can literally just pull it out. And then our engine is totally disconnected, all the wires, all the hoses, everything. For the chain, I use this, I think that's where the power steering goes, so I use the same bolt. For power steering, I put chain over there, and then there's a bracket on the transmission in the back, right over there. Let's see if I can make some room to show you guys. Where is it? Right over there. So that is the bracket. So I put that long nut with the chain. So if the chain goes from there to there, but again it'll be very wobbly, so just for the safe side I just use the valve cover. There will be no weight on it, so I have those two bolts right over here and then one right over here. So there's not gonna be much weight. I'm gonna be lifting it up from here, but that's just for additional support. If the engine starts going back or forward, I can control that from there. So yeah, we'll go take that axle out.